Hello. No more disappointments. Choose the sex of your child. Getting the baby you want. Would you have wanted your parents to select your sex as a child? Today I'm going to talk to you about why gender selection should be prohibited, and I will explain how it could affect not only society, but it also brings up the greed within humans. On the website The Guardian, HFEA, which stands for Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority, was faced with a question that really struck me. Wasn't gender selection for the benefit of the parent rather than the child? To show you that the negatives outweigh the positives on the topic of gender selection and in vitro fertilization, I will discuss how it could harm the sexes and the balance of the sexes within society. Then I'll explain how it gives parents the option to play God, shifting the blessing of a child from a parental perspective to that of a consumerist. And finally, to conclude, I will explain how choosing the baby's sex could easily open the floodgates to creating designer babies. To begin, one of the most common questions to ask somebody that is expecting is it a boy or a girl? According to the website This, featuring Deakin University, majority of couples have a specific gender set in mind. The screening process in IVF, called pre-implantation gender diagnosis, separates the X and Y bearing chromosomes and tests them to find which are the most viable. On this picture you can see they have separated the X and Y bearing sperm, and then that's after conception and then during pregnancy. Up until recently, we have allowed nature to decide what gender is for our children. WebMD addresses the typical reasons why a parent decides to choose the gender of their children. Either they have a desire for a son or a daughter, to avoid their child inheriting sex-linked genetic diseases, to balance out their families, or for cultural preferences. Steinberg is a man that has offered PGD for over 14 years and says that Chinese couples that come to him prefer a boy 90% of the time. He also states that Canadians prefer a girl 70% of the time. A consensus proves that Indian families prefer a boy due to cultural preferences, which supports the idea that gender selection could have an imposing threat to the balance within a population. To continue, Daily Mail mentions a quote by Dr. David King. "The creation of life is one of the most serious morally things that you can do. We must not let it become yet another consumer choice." In a Maury poll, majority of people believed that it is completely wrong due to the fact that it obstructs with destiny. It's a very different thing to hope and wish for a child and another to take matters into your own hands and make it happen. I personally feel as though it takes away the specialness of bearing a child. To add, gender selection is such a controversial subject because it could be the introduction to an era we can't come back from. On parents.com, Dr. Robert Gustafson states, "It's a slippery slope. If we start offering gender selection, people could start requesting certain eye or hair color, even height." Steinberg's clinics attempted to not only offer gender selection, but went as far as to offering parents to choose the complexion of their child as well. We as humans have such a greedy tendency that if given an inch, we take a mile. Bearing a child isn't good enough. We feel we have the right to design our babies too. This could hurt the child in the long run, making them think that they aren't good enough. They had to be altered to their parents' picture-perfect version of a baby in order to be loved. This is not only an extremely costly procedure, but it's an invasive one too. At the end of the day, I understand that not everybody is capable of conceiving a child, but I also know that choosing the gender of the baby isn't a requirement of IVF. So no, I do not believe that you should be able to choose your child's sex because it could disrupt the harmony of gender in society. It allows parents to play God, and it could open the door to creating designer babies. Do we challenge what is ethical and take matters into our own hands to force what we want? Choosing the sex of our children is what makes parenthood so cherishing and worthwhile. We need not choose whether we have a boy or a girl because we fear we won't love them as much. There is a reason babies hold such a special place in our hearts. They're blessings. Every person is unique in their own way, and that's what makes the world so beautiful. Not everyone is created to be perfect or made to be what somebody else wanted them to be. Thank you.